One tiny discipline today could transform not just your life, but millions. Science and history prove it. Sometimes it feels like life is nothing but chaos. The bills stack up, the plans fall apart, the goals you once believed in seem far away. It's as if the world is spinning and you can't find the center. Ever felt like your life was a scattered puzzle you just can't solve? Yet, there's a hidden truth that's been whispered by great minds for generations. Discipline is the secret doorway between chaos and order. And in that order, there's not just peace for you, but a ripple of change that can travel far beyond anything you ever imagined. Jordan Peterson, one of the greatest voices in psychology today, once said, "Discipline is what pulls you out of chaos into order. And order is the precondition for meaning." And Napoleon Hill, the legendary author of Think and Grow Rich, echoed it with a timeless truth. Every great movement started with one disciplined mind. Think about that. The biggest revolution to human history didn't begin in crowds or governments. They started inside one person's mind, a decision to take control, to fight personal battles, and to rise above chaos. What if your private victories could become public victories in disguise? This isn't just talk. Science shows that how you manage your own habits, your own mind, and your own actions echoes out to people around you. Like a stone dropped into a lake, your choices create ripples that move outward in ways you may never see. So why does your personal discipline matter to 8 billion people? Why is the fight inside your own soul possibly the most important battle you'll ever face? Because your discipline is never just yours. It's the blueprint of your life, and it's the spark that can ignite change in the world. It's the silent force behind every leader, every hero, and every moment that makes history. And today, we're diving deep into how your smallest acts of discipline could shape not only your destiny, but the destiny of countless others. Because your private victories are public victories in disguise. Let me show you how. The biggest wars you'll ever fight are inside your own mind. Jordan Peterson, the brilliant psychologist who's inspired millions, once opened up about his own private battle. When he was 25, he weighed only 138 pounds. He smoked a pack of cigarettes a day. He drank heavily. His life felt like chaos spinning out of control. Yet he reached a breaking point and realized something powerful. He couldn't keep chasing chaos and expect to build anything meaningful. He said, "I was living in chaos. I realized I couldn't keep pursuing chaos and expect to solve serious problems." That was the spark that ignited his personal transformation. Because discipline, as Peterson teaches, isn't punishment. It's the tool that drags us out of chaos and sets us on the path to a life filled with purpose. Napoleon Hill, the author of Think and Grow Rich, echoed this truth decades earlier when he wrote, "No man achieves great success without discipline." Hill studied legends like Andrew Carnegie, and he found that discipline was the foundation every great leader used to build lasting impact. But what does that look like in real life? Take Michael Phelps. The greatest Olympian of all time didn't just swim fast. He battled depression, dark thoughts, and the urge to quit. But he forced himself into a daily discipline, training even when he felt empty inside. That discipline didn't just earn him medals. It gave him power over his mind. Or Stephen King. He was drowning in alcohol and despair, convinced he was destroying his writing talent. One day, he threw his alcohol away. That discipline saved his family and his gift. Today, he's one of the world's most celebrated authors. David Goggins. He was a pest exterminator, overweight, depressed, living paycheck to paycheck. He decided he'd had enough. Through brutal discipline, he lost over 100 pounds and became a Navy SEAL and ultramarathon runner. His story shows that discipline can transform even the most broken places. Vera Wang didn't design dresses until she was nearly 40. Her discipline to start again, despite fear and age, made her one of fashion's biggest icons. And then there's Steve Jobs. His entire legacy was built on an obsession for discipline and precision. Even in the smallest details, he demanded order and excellence. That discipline is why Apple's products became symbols of creativity and beauty. But discipline isn't just about routines or goals. It's about responsibility for yourself and for your future. Peterson says, discipline isn't restriction, it's what allows you to build something meaningful. It's not about losing freedom, it's about gaining it. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, explains it perfectly. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. In other words, discipline starts small. A tiny habit repeated daily becomes the system that lifts you out of chaos. But there's more happening under the surface. Carl Jung, one of the fathers of psychology, believed that discipline is what helps us face the parts of ourselves we try to ignore. He said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Discipline helps us shine light into our shadows, to become the person we're meant to be. So the real question is, what have you been avoiding sacrificing? Which small habit, if changed, would ripple into everything? Here's one simple place to start. Create a victory log. Each day, write down just one small act of discipline you did. Maybe drinking water instead of soda, making your bed, reading one page of a book. And next to it, write how that tiny win made you feel and how it might affect the people around you. Because like a stone dropped into a lake, every disciplined choice sends ripples outward. It may seem small today, but tomorrow it could change the entire course of your life and the lives of people you may never even meet. But how does this inner fight affect the people around you? Sometimes an entire society. That's where we're heading next. The most powerful weapon you own is your voice. Think about this. Jordan Peterson has spent decades studying the mind and the way people live. He believes there's nothing more powerful than the ability to speak clearly and think deeply. He says, there's nothing more powerful than articulated speech, because the power to shape your own life and influence the world starts with the words you choose. Napoleon Hill knew it too. In Think and Grow Rich, he explained that your thoughts, once spoken, become real forces that shape your reality. He wrote, "Think accurately. Speak accurately. That's how you shape your world." But here's the truth. Powerful speech doesn't just happen. It comes from discipline. Discipline to train your mind. Discipline to organize your thoughts. Discipline to speak even when your voice shakes. Just look at the life of Martin Luther King Jr. Here was a man who faced hatred, danger, and constant threats. Yet he kept speaking, even when it might have cost him his life. His words were so disciplined, so carefully chosen, that they shook the very foundations of society. His famous line, "I have a dream," wasn't just poetry. It was a spark that ignited hope for millions. And that's the ripple effect of disciplined speech. Or think about Malala Yousafzai. As a young girl in Pakistan, she could have stayed silent under threats from the Taliban. Instead, she chose to speak. Her voice, disciplined and courageous, traveled from a small village to the halls of the United Nations. Today, she's the youngest Nobel Peace Prize winner. She reminds us that your voice doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be true. Tony Robbins, one of the world's most famous motivational speakers, built his entire career on disciplined communication. Early in his life, he trained his mind, his body, and even his voice to deliver messages with energy and power. His discipline turned his voice into a tool that moves millions toward action. Sheryl Sandberg, the author of Lean In, shows how disciplined speech can change how women see themselves in business and leadership. She used her voice not just to talk, but to open doors for millions of other women. Her speeches were never random. They were disciplined, crafted, and purposeful. But it's not just about public speaking. Jordan Peterson explains that even in your personal life, the ability to speak clearly gives you power. He says, when you can formulate your arguments, you win everything. And better than that, when you win everything, everyone around you wins too. Simon Sinek, another respected voice in leadership, teaches that disciplined communication starts with purpose. He says, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. When you speak from a disciplined purpose, people listen. They feel connected. And your influence spreads like ripples across the water. Mel Robbins, author of the 5-Second Rule, understands how fear can steal your voice. She teaches that when you feel scared to speak, you must count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and act before your brain talks you out of it. That's discipline in action. So ask yourself, what message do you wish the world could hear from you? What truth have you been holding back because you feel afraid or unsure? Discipline isn't just about habits or routines. It's about the courage to speak your truth, even if your voice trembles. Because when your words are disciplined, they have the power to shape not just your life, but the future of everyone listening. Here's a simple challenge to start. Take the Speak It challenge. Tonight, grab your phone. Record yourself talking for just 2 minutes about something you believe in deeply. It doesn't matter if your voice cracks or you stumble over words. What matters is the discipline to speak. Because like Martin, Malala, Tony, and Cheryl have proven, one disciplined voice can send ripples that change the world. But there's something even bigger. What happens when your discipline spills beyond your own life? Let's explore that next. Your private victories are public victories in disguise. Jordan Peterson has spent years teaching that we're each connected to an invisible network. Every word we say, every habit we build, every small act of discipline we perform, it doesn't just stay inside our own lives. It ripples outward, touching people we might never even meet. He says, fix yourself. You'll be amazed how many other problems you fix. Because order in your own life creates pockets of order in the world around you. Napoleon Hill wrote, every great movement started with one disciplined mind. He saw that social change, innovation, and progress always begin with an individual's private decision to live differently. Let's look at Muhammad Yunus. He was a simple economics professor in Bangladesh who looked around and saw poverty crushing people's lives. Instead of blaming the system, he disciplined himself to find solutions. He created microloans, tiny amounts of money that let people start small businesses. That idea became a ripple that lifted millions out of poverty and won him a Nobel Peace Prize. His disciplined mind reshaped entire economies. Or think about Rosa Parks. She didn't have armies or wealth. All she had was discipline and courage. When she refused to give up her seat on that bus, she triggered a ripple effect that transformed America's civil rights movement. One act of disciplined resistance became the spark for sweeping change. It reminds us that sometimes the smallest stand can change the destiny of millions. Fred Rogers, known to millions as Mr. Rogers, understood ripple effects better than most. Every day, through his TV show, he practiced disciplined kindness. Even when cameras were off, he chose to treat everyone with respect and care. His discipline to be gentle and loving didn't just help children. It created a legacy of compassion that still ripples through our culture today. And then there's Serena Williams. From Compton, California, she rose through fierce discipline to become one of the greatest athletes of all time. Her discipline didn't just win trophies. It shattered barriers for women and African Americans in sports and business. Her ripple effect goes far beyond tennis. It's about inspiring millions to believe they, too, can rise. But why does this happen? Brian Tracy explains, people follow those who discipline themselves. Discipline builds trust. It makes you someone others believe in and want to follow. That's why disciplined people often find themselves in positions of leadership, formal or not. Brendan Burchard, another voice in high performance, says, your energy is contagious. Discipline is how you control it. When you're disciplined, your calm, focused energy radiates outward. People feel it. And that's how the ripple effect begins. Peterson often talks about universities and how they've lost their way, teaching students to focus on how oppressed they are instead of showing them their true potential. He believes every young person should be called to a heroic mission, to speak the truth, to carry responsibility, and to discipline their own lives so they can help others. He says, universities should call you to heroism, not to resentment, because when individuals rise above chaos, they become beacons for everyone around them. Here's something incredible. Right now, every day, about 250,000 people around the world escape extreme poverty. That's like filling an entire city with people who have new hope, new possibilities. And that's happening because of countless disciplined actions. Businesses, governments, individuals deciding to do better. So ask yourself, what ripple are you sending into the world right now? What small act of discipline could touch someone else's life in ways you may never see? Start small. Here's your ripple dare. Write down one tiny change you could make this week, a discipline that could help someone else. Maybe it's smiling at strangers. Maybe it's mentoring someone at work. Maybe it's being honest when it's easier to stay silent. You never know whose life you'll change with one disciplined choice. Because like Muhammad Yunus, Rosa Parks, Fred Rogers, and Serena Williams have proven, a single disciplined action can echo out and transform the world. So the question isn't whether you matter. It's a how much. You don't have to be famous to change the world. You just have to be disciplined enough to change yourself. Jordan Peterson often reminds us that the smallest step toward order can echo out into eternity. He says, the smallest step towards order can echo out into eternity, because discipline is never just about rules or routines. It's about building a life that matters, not just for you, but for the people whose lives you touch every day. Napoleon Hill, who dedicated his life to studying success, believed that the person who disciplines himself becomes the master of fate. He knew that your ability to control your own actions, your own mind, and your own words is what makes you powerful beyond measure. All the stories we've explored, from Michael Phelps fighting through the darkness to stand on the Olympic podium, to Martin Luther King Jr. shaking the walls of injustice with disciplined words, to Rosa Parks creating a revolution with one small act of resistance, they all started the same way. With discipline. A private victory that rippled outward. Your own ripple effect doesn't have to be massive or loud. It could be as simple as keeping a promise, finishing what you start, or speaking up when it matters most. Every act of discipline is a drop in the water that sends waves you may never see. Right now, the world needs people who choose discipline over chaos. People who step forward when it's hard. People who decide to become better, not just for themselves, but for everyone around them. So here's my invitation for you. Think of one small discipline you could start today. Just one. Maybe it's 5 minutes of reading, or a moment of honesty, or a simple act of kindness. Write it down. Commit to it. Because the world changes when you do. If you found value in this message, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need it. Let's keep this ripple going together. Remember, the question isn't whether you matter. It's how much. And with every small disciplined step you take, the answer is always more than you could ever imagine.
Hey, incredible growth seekers. Wow, what a journey. If this video resonated, subscribe now for more life-changing content. Join our community of self-improvers. Smash that like button to fuel more content on mindfulness, goal setting, and emotional intelligence. Share this video to create a ripple of positive change. Comment below about your growth journey. Your insights shape our content. Next week, boosting self-confidence and overcoming limiting beliefs. Don't miss it. Every interaction brings us closer to a world of empowered individuals. Let's make personal development global. Stay inspired, keep growing. Your best self awaits. Let's unlock it together.